Ancient Greece. Just hearing those words brings to mind towering marble temples, fearless warriors, brilliant philosophers, and epic battles that shaped the world. But the Greece we know from history didn't appear overnight. Its story begins thousands of years before Athens became famous, before Sparta trained its legendary soldiers, and long before Alexander the Great marched across continents. So let's travel back to the very beginning. Around 7000 BC, the lands we now call Greece were home to small farming communities. Families lived in simple villages, nestled among hills, rivers, and fertile valleys. Life was hard graft. People grew wheat and barley, raised sheep and goats, and spent their days working the land. There were no cities, no kings, no armies, just small communities trying to survive and build a future. Over many centuries, these settlements expanded. Trade began connecting distant regions. New technologies appeared. Populations slowly increased. Without realizing it, these early farmers were laying the foundations for one of history's greatest civilizations. Then, around 3000 BC, a remarkable culture emerged on the island of Crete. Today, Crete is known for its beautiful beaches and holiday resorts. Back then, it became the center of Europe's first advanced civilization, the Minoans.
The Minoans built grand palaces, established trade networks across the Mediterranean, and developed a sophisticated society centuries ahead of its time. Their most famous city was Knossos. Its enormous palace contained hundreds of rooms, colorful frescoes, storage halls, workshops, and ceremonial spaces. The walls were decorated with vibrant artwork showing athletes, priests, nobles, and sea creatures. The Minoans were skilled sailors. Their ships traveled throughout the Mediterranean, carrying pottery, olive oil, wine, and luxury goods. Trade made them wealthy. Their culture flourished. For centuries, Crete stood as one of the most prosperous places in the ancient world. Then, disaster struck. Around 1600 BC, the volcanic island of Thera erupted in one of history's most powerful explosions. The blast sent ash high into the atmosphere. Massive tsunamis swept across the sea. Entire communities were devastated. Although the Minoans survived initially, their power weakened. And while Crete struggled to recover, a new force was rising on mainland Greece: the Mycenaeans.
Unlike the Minoans, the Mycenaeans were warriors. Their cities were protected by gigantic stone walls. Their rulers commanded armies. Their culture valued strength, conquest, and military success. The greatest of their cities was Mycenae. Behind its mighty fortifications lived powerful kings who controlled surrounding territories and trade routes. The Mycenaeans adopted many ideas from the Minoans, but developed their own unique civilizations. For several centuries, they dominated the Greek world. According to legend, it was during this period that the Trojan War took place. The story tells of Greek kings uniting to attack the wealthy city of Troy after the abduction of Helen. For 10 years, the war raged. Heroes fought for glory. Armies clashed beneath towering walls. And eventually, through cunning rather than strength, the Greeks triumphed using the famous Trojan horse. Whether every detail is true remains uncertain, yet the tale became one of the greatest stories ever told. Eventually, however, the Mycenaean world collapsed. Around 1200 BC, many Bronze Age civilizations across the eastern Mediterranean experienced sudden decline. Cities burned, trade networks vanished, populations shrank. The reasons remain debated even today. Some historians point to invasions.
Slowly but surely, recovery began. Villages grew. Trade returned. Population increased.
And by around 800 BC, a new age was dawning. Across Greece, independent city-states emerged. Each city-state, known as a polis, governed itself. Some became wealthy trading centers. Others focused on agriculture. A few developed into military powers. Among them were two cities destined to become legendary: Athens and Sparta. Athens evolved into a center of commerce, culture, and political innovation. Sparta became a society built around military discipline. The differences between them would shape Greek history for centuries. As these city-states expanded, Greeks established colonies throughout the Mediterranean and Black Sea regions. New settlements appeared in Italy, North Africa, Asia Minor, and beyond. Greek language, culture, and trade spread across vast distances. At the same time, religion united the Greek world. People worshipped powerful gods and goddesses who, according to myth, lived atop Mount Olympus. Zeus ruled the heavens. Poseidon controlled the seas. Athena represented wisdom. Ares embodied war. Temples were built in their honor. Festivals celebrated.
Beginning in 776 BC, athletes from across Greece gathered at Olympia to compete. Victors earned glory, prestige, and admiration. Wars were temporarily suspended to allow safe travel. For a brief moment, rival city-states stood together. As Greece entered the Classical Age, remarkable achievements transformed the ancient world. Art flourished. Architecture reached new heights. Philosophy challenged old ideas. Science advanced. And political systems evolved. Nowhere was this more evident than Athens. Here, a revolutionary concept emerged: democracy. Rather than being ruled entirely by kings, citizens could participate in government. The system was far from perfect. Women, enslaved people, and foreigners were excluded. Yet the idea that ordinary citizens should have a voice in political decisions would influence countless societies in the future. Then came one of Greece's greatest challenges: the Persian Empire. Stretching across vast territories, Persia was the most powerful empire on earth. When Greek cities resisted Persian control, war became inevitable. In 490 BC, Persian forces invaded Greece. At Marathon, Athenian soldiers achieved a stunning victory against overwhelming odds. 10 years later, Persia returned with an.
The Greek world had weakened itself, and in the north, a new power was waiting: Macedon. Under King Philip II, Macedon transformed into a formidable military state. Philip united much of Greece under his authority. Then, his son took the stage: Alexander. History would remember him as Alexander the Great. Ascending the throne at just 20 years old, Alexander launched one of the most extraordinary military campaigns ever witnessed. He defeated the Persian Empire, captured Egypt, marched through Mesopotamia, crossed mountains and deserts, and reached as far as India. Within little more than a decade, he created one of the largest empires in history. Wherever Alexander went, Greek culture followed. Cities were founded. Ideas spread. Knowledge traveled across continents. This period became known as the Hellenistic Age. Greek influence extended from the Mediterranean to Central Asia. Science, mathematics, philosophy, and art flourished like never before. Yet Alexander's empire proved difficult to hold together. After his death in 323 BC, his generals divided the empire among themselves. Powerful kingdoms emerged. Competition intensified. And eventually, another rising power entered the scene: Rome. Over time, Roman influence expanded across the Mediterranean. Greek states gradually fell under Roman control.
By 146 BC, Greece had effectively become part of the Roman world. The age of independent ancient Greece had ended. But its legacy